Hello and welcome to Nitro Talk. You know, my buggies are always so dirty. And I saw that my tires were kind of clean. I guess I was running in the grass the last time I was running it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and clean up the body and the wing. There's still plenty of dirt on the arms and shocks and everything, but it looks kind of clean. It's clean as y'all have ever seen it. If you're into nitro engines, vehicles, Ofna Hyper is my favorite. Like and subscribe, yada yada, I'd appreciate it. We are going to talk about the different Hyper 7s today and how to know which Hyper 7 version you have. There are a few. So, let me go ahead and take this off. And we're going to talk a lot about the Hyper 7, aside from how to tell which one you have. But we're going to do that first. That's going to be the title of the video. And then we're going to talk about some Hyper 7s. All right, so what is a Hyper 7? A Hyper 7 is Hyper 7, Hyper 7 Pro, Hyper 7 TQ Sport, Hyper PBS, and Hyper PCR. All of those are Hyper 7s. A Hyper SS is not a Hyper 7. All right, so of all those Hyper 7s, how do you tell which one you have? Mostly by the radio tray and the battery box. So on one version, the Hyper PCR, this is an original Hyper PCR body. The PCR, and this here is my old PCR. That one comes with the lay down servo setup. I've actually got, this is one that I had picked up for parts, and it still has the stock Ofna servos in it. So that is the lay down servo setup of the Hyper PCR, which the Hyper PCR, like I said, is a Hyper 7. This is the exact same chassis as all the other Hyper 7s. And as you can see, so this is a Hyper 7 TQ Sport, essentially. We'll get into that. This is a TQ Sport body, okay? So as you can see, TQ Sport body fits perfectly. PCR body fits perfectly as well. It's got see how the cut arounds there go right around those nubs. The dips through in the back, that dips down in between just right. But then this body, it goes through just right. All right, where was I at? So the PCR is the one with the lay down servo setup. The PBS will essentially be this right here. It'll have pillow ball front and rear, okay? But it will not have, it'll have this style radio tray, but it will have the old style battery box. This is the old style battery box. It comes with two different battery holders. This is for a 6-volt hump pack, and this is for originally for a 6-volt lay down flat pack, 6-volt flat pack. But Those are the two different battery holders that connect to the old style battery box. So PBS, just like this, pillow balls front and rear, stand up servos, and the old battery box. The Hyper 7 Pro will have carbon fiber top plate, radio tray, etc. Okay, so that's your Hyper 7 Pro. What do we have left? Basically everything before the TQ Sport, which was the latest version. The TQ Sport is the only one with this battery box. All other versions, which are prior, have the old style battery box. Hyper 7, Hyper 7 Pro, PCR, PBS, all have that battery box. Did I get through everything? Yeah, so that's how you tell which version of the Hyper 7 you have. All right. Now that we can move past that. All right, I wanted to show some of this stuff that I was just showing. So this is my old PCR, and so I don't know if I'm going to post this video before or after the one that I just made about the starter boxes, but just like the starter boxes, where they'll go in a cycle. One will get rebuilt. It'll be at the front of the line, as the one at the end of the line is used up and beat, and this one will get rebuilt. This one's due for a rebuild, right? That's what I'm trying to spit out here. Is this one will be the next one to be rebuilt. My latest one. This is the middle one, actually. This is the middle, and my other one with the C-hubs, my C-hub front end, Hyper 7, is my latest rebuild. That was the one that has been rebuilt most recently. So, I will be rebuilding this, as you can see. That's the radio tray for it. It's got the spider diff in there. Aluminum shaft going to the front there, aluminum shaft. Pretty nicely appointed, the PCRs are. Oh, okay, that's what I was wanting to talk about. So like I said, that was another one I picked up for parts. Look at this right here. That's not good. There's no shock there. But that should drop. That should, under its own weight. There's something binding up in this thing. I don't really know what it is, but that's just a parts chassis. Oh, something else I want to talk about. Probably could be the reason why. Probably had a problem with the rear end, but certainly this is a problem. You see these divots right there? That's where you adjust your droop. The droop screws dig into the chassis. Oh, come on. And that's a nice deep divot there. Now, I have repaired this by filling it in with JB Weld, and it does hold for a while, but the JB Weld eventually does get eaten out of there. I've thought about doing a fix where maybe I'll grind it down and then glue a dime there or something, maybe something harder, a little steel coin or something. I don't know. But that is an issue with these chassis, that over time the droop screws do eat into this chassis. I've got my Tub O Hyper 7 parts over here. And so this is one of the rear ends. Looks like the diff is gone out of here. But this wasn't on that car because that car had green stuff. Oh, this was on... yeah, here we go. Oh, all right. So, yeah. this rear end is the rear end off of that donor chassis. Yeah, because it's still got the aluminum shafts in it. The PCR comes with aluminum shafts. So this rear end that's on my buggy with the Hyper 3 port was robbed off of this chassis. The rear end that was on this buggy, as you can see, with its purple accessories, purple accessories, purple accessories, purple accessories. You can see the purple accessories. Ooh, those aren't purple, but nice looking blue. You know, I'd like to put that stuff back on here. Why don't I? Do y'all want to watch that? I don't know. Probably not the most exciting thing to see, but you know, maybe I'll do that, and then I'll come back and make another little. Maybe I'll add a section on the end of this video. Y'all don't want to watch me rip all of this apart and switch it over, but I want to do it. I want to put my nice purple accessories on my purple theme buggy here. This right here, okay. So this was the rear end that was in my PCR here, because you can see the green accessories. Yeah. And this looks like it's got a diff. Okay, there's my problem. So I put the zip tie on it to say, hey, here's where the issue is. So I look, and I can see that that outdrive is busted. The cup there, it's almost about to fall out. So, you know, that diff is still fine. So just change that outdrive cup. That's not that big of a deal. I got plenty of those. So this can be repaired pretty easily. And as you can see, I have on here the Yannick edition. Well, what the heck's going on there? I need to address that. Yannick edition front and rear shock towers on this one. Just like my the buggy with the STS in it also has Yannick's front and rear. All right, so that's... Should I bolt that onto there? I mean, anyways. I've also got some... Oh, and I did have these on there. My purple theme buggy, right? With all the purple parts. I did have these super cool shocks with the purple springs on it at one time. But these aren't the best springs. So I got better ones on it. Yeah, right there. There's one of those outdrive cups. That's a front or rear diff for the Hyper 7. Yeah, I could snag one of those cups right there. All right. So we looked at some of these old parts. And I've shown all this stuff before. It's been a while. But I know that the Hyper 7 has some hardcore fans out there. And I'd like to show y'all some super cool Hyper 7 stuff. And discuss an idea. Again, I have talked about this before. So I want to make the ultimate Hyper 7. Okay? Basically, with all the best parts, all the absolute best of everything that they made for the Hyper 7, and build an ultimate Hyper 7. Brand new, right, from scratch. I've got parts in here. Got a couple chassis right there. I've got the parts in here to build at least 2 Hyper 7s. This is used parts in this tub, but there's some aluminum drive shafts. Those are the center shafts, right? So that would be for like the PCR. Has the aluminum center shafts. Those things don't weigh anything. But now there's a lot. All this stuff is cool. There's a nice purple front holder, aluminum bottom. All this stuff is super cool. But there's this right here. And I've shown this before, but stick with me. Let me move this out of the way. This right here, my opinion, is the absolute cream of the crop of Hyper 7 parts. And when I build the ultimate Hyper 7, these parts in this tub are going to be the ones that go on it. They are, and again, in my opinion, these are the best Hyper 7 parts. They are the PCR. Not the stock PCR parts, but the Paul Coleman Racing upgrade parts. That's the center plate, rear stiffener mount, PCR steering link, rear toe-end plate, 2.5 PCR, 3-degree rear toe plate PCR, the PCR braces, PCR braces, of course, front and rear shock towers, PCR, the front plate, PCR, the radio tray, PCR, that was the rear stiffener, and that is the front stiffener, PCR. So the PCR parts, which my opinion are the absolute cream of the crop, and then of course these are here the essential upgrades to make your ultimate Hyper 7. Obviously the CNC knuckles, unless you're going pillow ball, which to me the ultimate is going to be a C-hub car, and it's going to have these aluminum CNC knuckles. CNC uprights for the rear, and center CVAs, like the Pro. The Pro came with center CVAs. That's the only one that came with them. That's one more. The front plate PCR. So, yes, I will someday, I promise, I will build. Now, no, I'm already going to say now, no, I'm not going to run it. That will certainly be a shelf queen. The ultimate Hyper 7 will be a shelf queen for sure. I am not going to get these PCR parts. I'm sure you can find them. They're not cheap, but these are awesome parts. And if I got this stuff scratched up, I would be heartbroken. So no. And look, that is ball bearing supported steering link for the PCR. So yes, but oh man, will she be something to look at or not? Something else that should be in here is the low profile engine mounts. The ultimate Hyper 7 has to have those. Probably have the new style radio tray, and probably have SS shocks, even though, now, yes, like I said, the Hyper 7, the Hyper SS is not a Hyper 7, okay? All those other ones are, but the Hyper SS is not. But I love the Hyper SS shocks. They are 16 millimeter, I believe. They're bigger than any of the shocks that came on any of the Hyper 7s stock. So I run the Hyper SS shocks on mine, and I really love them. So it would be debatable whether you could put them on there. Of course you can, but could you actually then say that it's purely a Hyper 7? You might not be able to say that. Anyways, what do you think about the ultimate Hyper 7? Hyper 7s in general? Did you figure out which version you have now? Now here's the thing, all right? So, if we go by what I just said, then this is a TQ Sport, right? Because the TQ Sport is the only one that has this radio box. But no, this is not a TQ Sport. The TQ Sport does not have pillow ball in the front. It has C-hubs and knuckles. So, what is this? All of mine, pretty much, are mutts. They may have started out as a PBS, PCR, TQ Sport, but I've rebuilt every single one of mine multiple times. So I've swapped front ends, I've swapped rears. They are not all original. None of them are all original anymore. So yeah, it's got the TQ Sport radio box, PBS front. It's a Hyper 7. That's what you can definitely say is. It is 100% a Hyper 7. Thank you very much for watching. You know, while I got y'all here, man, I am loving this Hyper 21 3-port turbo more and more every time I run it. Still has beautiful, beautiful compression. Very nice, tight compression. I'm loving the performance I get out of this engine. The 053, I ran this the other day. Really digging the 053. All right. For anyone who's still here. So, and I'm going to address this much more in a coming video. Yes. And someone else has helped me to realize this. And when I address this more in a upcoming video, I will give props to said person who kind of snapped me into reality. When we're changing pipes, changing fuels, right? All this stuff I've been doing lately. And I just run the buggy and I'm like, oh, that sounds faster, right? That looks faster. That's no way to do this stuff, right? That's rookie stuff. What you need is actual data. So I have for you guys in the works, we're going to start having data. We're going to, when we swap a pipe, we're going to have top speed with the original pipe and then top speed with the replacement pipe. When we go from 20% Sidewinder to 33% top fuel, we'll say Sidewinder hit this mile per hour, top fuel hit this mile per hour. We are going to have data that shows the effects of these changes. Pipe changes, fuel changes, engine changes, all kinds of stuff. The Nitro Talk with Todd channel is going to be incorporating data very soon. And thank you very much for, and it's another YouTuber who comments, awesome YouTuber. Like I said, when I discuss this further, when said data logging device arrives, we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to give props to that person. All right, I think I've said enough. We got to look at some Hyper 7s, all Hyper 7s. Y'all have a great one. We'll see you next time. Thank you very, very much.